Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pixel Chats, your daily, weekly crypto. Can you imagine if we did this daily? How's that for an intro? Our weekly podcast show where we talk about crypto, future technologies, and decentralization. I'm here together with Carla, my co-host. Say hi, Carla.
Hey, everybody.
And here together with our guests on the weekly, Richard and Rachel. I'm going to keep calling you guests because that's what you are to me.
Awesome. So what are we talking about today, Sieg?
Today, we're going to be talking about the history of crypto technology and cryptocurrency. So we're going to just be going over some key milestones here for, more or less a brief history of crypto technology and the such. Let's start off from the beginning. What was the first instance of cryptocurrency that you know about, Richard?
The first instance of cryptocurrency?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's an idea that came about a long time ago with like cryptography. I think I said that right, cryptography?
Cryptography. Tomato.
There we go. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started on some key milestones and just talking about cryptocurrency just a little bit. So in terms of cryptography, the origins, the idea of cryptocurrency, could you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, sure. It's actually quite a bit before Bitcoin. About 17 years before the release of the Bitcoin white paper, actually, a couple people invented the blockchain. Stuart Haber and Scott Stornetta. And what they did was they wrote an academic paper talking about an append-only structure. And it was focused on timestamping documents. And that's, kind of a good use for blockchain today as well. So the concept of blockchain technology has been around since the 90s or potentially, a little bit before that. Obviously, they wrote the paper then. Maybe they had the idea before then. I think
they got some inspiration from the cryptographer David Chaum in 1983, right?
Yeah, right. I didn't look into that, but I do know about, the origins before Bitcoin. And then, Bitcoin 17 years later comes out with the white paper. And in 2008, 2010, we kind of see the beginning of Bitcoin white paper. And there's, of course, tons of speculation on who Satoshi Nakamoto is and if it's a person or a group. Interesting stuff.
Who could it be? Have you seen those memes of those people on YouTube? Or like that guy who's like, I'm definitely not Satoshi Nakamoto. And he's like, they're like grilling him. He was like, hey, where were you during this time? And he was like, I don't know. I was at home.
Yep. Yeah, it's so like uninspiring the way that he's just like, nah, nope. Still no.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the fun facts about the beginning of Bitcoin is 6 months after it became tradable in April, the value was about 14 cents. And then in November, it surged to 36 before settling around 29.
In 2008?
Yep.
That's crazy to think about.
Well, actually, no, in April of 2010.
Dang, I was a freshman in high school. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting a rig up when I was in high school, and I was like, yeah, this is so cool. I can buy illegal drugs, which I would never do.
Yeah.
Pixel Chat does not endorse or condone drug use, illegal drug use. But yeah, that's crazy to think about just how much the price of that, like even within that year, like doubling, that's pretty cool, right? But like looking at it now, just how much more it is. Richard, you know the guy that bought pizzas?
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
yeah.
That was on May 22nd of 2010. Poor guy.
Yeah, Rachel, what happened?
I know we're jumping out of order here.
Now it's Rachel's story time. What happened with the guy who bought pizza?
So this guy, it was kind of like the first official crypto transaction where crypto was used to purchase like an actual good. And the pizza, he paid so many
10,000
Bitcoin. 10,000 Bitcoin for that. And that was like $30.
a $30 pizza order.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah,
he's
keep going.
go
Sorry.
ahead. I was going to say there's a thing. Sorry, I'm heart palpitation. It surprised me.
Yeah, I would get a heart palpitation too.
No joke, right?
If I use that many Bitcoin.
Yeah. Like there's occasionally there's a Twitter channel that talks about how much that amount would be worth. And then there's also like people check in on him every now and then and they're like, "Hey man, you okay?" And he's like, "No." And that's generally how that goes apparently.
Yeah, what's interesting is that there's a Twitter bot that actually follows this. If you go to Twitter and do Bitcoin_pizza, you will find every day they post what the Bitcoin pizza is worth.
Oh,
and
no.
Today was $239,824,068.
Oh, God.
There was another one from more recently where this guy posted something. He made a tweet about how he had sold his Bitcoin at it was like $1.20 or something, or maybe it was $12. I don't remember where the decimal point was, but he was like, it's not going to go any farther than that. You guys are silly to hang on to it. Like, I'm made out with like $5,000 profit. Y'all suck. And it's just like, people
Aged poorly.
Aged so poorly. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be so rough.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing that's really, well, the Bitcoin pizza incident did. I think that the thing that's really interesting though about looking at the history of cryptocurrency is that it really, the potential for cryptocurrency is so limitless, really. And when you look at it from back then, when Bitcoin started to reach, a couple bucks, a few dollars, that was a big thing. They're like, this is about as big as it's going to get. Like, if you could imagine back 10 years ago, even, and being like, hey, Bitcoin is going to hit, $69,000 per piece or per token.
Nice.
People would be like, haha, yeah, that's not going to happen. There's not enough people who would put money into that. It's a huge amount of money. But this space just is growing. It's active. It's evolving. So the things that seem like they're the boundaries now aren't going to be the boundaries, 10 years from now. We're going to look back on this and be like, man, we thought we had it so figured out. And then this entire evolution happened. And now, this is the way that cryptocurrency and blockchain technology is integrated into our lives. It's really cool, actually.
Yeah, so there's another fun website called 99bitcoins.com, and they have this section that is the Bitcoin obituaries. And so they have the Bitcoin obituaries, and their first recorded instance of it is they have one article from 2010, and then 6 articles in 2011, where they talk about how Bitcoin, is going to die. And it's just fun to go on there and read. So one of these, in 2011, let's see. So that's the end of Bitcoin then at $15.15 from, an article on Forbes, and then they link out to the source. Stuff like that.
Can you imagine?
I think
Can you imagine having
this
a
lot.
Yeah, can you imagine writing that and thinking it then? I don't
blame them. I honestly, at the same time, looking back, obviously hindsight's 2020, but I would be speculative of thinking that a seemingly worthless currency is maxed out. $15 even to me. I guess I'm thinking of it in terms of Dogecoin. I never would expect Dogecoin to go up past what it is right now. So, if it did go up to $15, I'd be like, this is it. It's not going up any higher.
Well, and some of that has to do with supply and some other things where there are some limits within the realm of all of the money in the world. But I think that those limits are definitely more bendy than people expect. Dogecoin is a good example. where it outperformed, I think, pretty much everybody's expectation. And the thing that was really interesting about that specific chapter in crypto history is just that it shouldn't have happened, in my personal opinion. It was just like, and the thing that it did was that it really changed everything for investors, because there was not a good reason for Dogecoin to take off the way that it did, other than like the public wanted it to. And that was truly the thing. And because they wanted it bad enough, they manifested it, and then it actually happened, and it like really shifted perspective on like what is something that is a good investment. This like mob rule actually can do stuff. And it's just like, it's a whole different type of cryptocurrency holder. The new kind of meme coin based people.
Same with the meme stocks too. Mm-hmm. Like GME had no right to go up to what it did, for instance, right?
Yep.
No one would have
followed
expected
that.
It.
Yeah.
I mean, even the founder of Doge sold all of it that he had back in 2015 for like a used Toyota. So.
Yep.
Or was it a Toyota or a Honda?
I thought it was a Honda
Civic.
I think it was a Honda Civic.
It was a car that was not very valuable.
Yeah.
But can you
I'm
really
checking it
know?
out.
Like, that's such a good point. Yeah, please.
It is
please
used
look
Honda
that up.
Civic. You're right.
Hell yeah! See, I only remember that because I think Honda Civics are neat, but
So did he.
But not
all my
that
Dogecoin neat.
Yeah.
Not that neat. But that's crazy. That's a good point that you brought in, Rachel. Like, really, just imagine being one of these guys, like a speculative investor, and you're just like, yes, I'm going to use, pseudoscience and any math I can to see where dojis go, and like maybe I can project some kind of cost. Like, I've seen historically this has performed well. Maybe I can lend like Bitcoin towards myself or Ethereum towards myself, and then it's like, haha, no, actually this funny meme coin with a dog on it.
Well, and then the
1,000.
thing that also did, though, that was really difficult, it's like just kind of like a thing, which is part of why some of the space is very unstable, is because there wasn't really a good reason for Dogecoin to be successful. It's very difficult to tell sometimes whether or not like what will happen with a meme coin. But there's kind of this like, if it's going to happen, it'll happen attitude. And that actually is a reason for a lot of these tokens that are just kind of like either like scam tokens, or they just like are flash in a pan. They just die. Nobody really they don't last for any period of time, but they can seem still like a decent investment to people, because why not? If the logo is cute, if if it's something that Elon Musk had said like a day before, like all of these different things are reasons that people make and also invest in meme coins. And it's just like, it's an impossible thing for, investors to navigate, because it's like chaos theory. There's no reason for some of these things to work. They just do. And there's no way to like suss them out from other ones. Yeah.
And with Doge, I mean, it's crazy because this guy, sold all of it at about 1.3 cents when he sold it for his Honda Civic. He could have had, 10,000
50
Doge.
times that.
10,000 Doge was 1.3 pennies.
Mm-hmm.
And at Doge's all-time high, what was that? Like 66 cents or something like that? 68 cents?
I think it was in the 70s.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
If you would have put 1 penny in, you would have had over $7,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
But now it's far lower than that.
I also want to just make kind of like a
7 cents,
funny parallel, since we're talking about history. But imagine like 50 years ago, if people made investment decisions the way people in the crypto market do
They did
now.
now.
They're just like, it's cute. It's got a cute picture. I really like the meme. I'm imagining like a 1950s stockbroker man at like the
Stockbroker man.
Can I do a voice for this?
Yeah, do an old voice.
Go see.
They're just like all crowding around. He's like, I need 50 a fart coin right away.
Yep. Well, sorry.
No, go.
So when I got involved in cryptocurrency, like at the very kind of like the middle of the beginning of the bull market, the last one in the the beginning of 2021. Huh?
The good time.
Yeah. But like, it was so crazy. I remember there was a token that was released, and then like, I hated it. So the token was Cum Rocket. The ticker was Cummies.
Yep.
And it was, on principle, I was like, I hate this. I'm not going to invest in this on the principle of the fact that I just think this is awful. And I tell you what, if I had invested in it, I would have made so much money. But I kept thinking...
You didn't put into Cum Rocket?
I didn't at all. Nope. And then I kept thinking, well, this has already gone up as far as it could possibly go. I've missed it. There's no reason to invest. But then it went up like 3 different like levels from there. And I was just like, I hate this so much. And that's... Yeah.
This is not financial advice, by the way. Do not invest in any of the coins that we do know. And if we make up a fake coin and say disparaging remarks, sometimes we just don't know that you're actually a project.
I think, yeah. I think also we can just blanket that at the end, right? We don't have to say it every time.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. I think it's funny though.
It is funny.
But that's me.
I just
my bad.
I didn't know if we had to. I'm not. This is a legitimate question.
Nah.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Nah.
But yeah, no, we did.
We're like a commentary or a satire. Opinion.
Yeah, we're satirical. Where are we at now? I think we're closer to like 2012 time talking, right?
Did we
or 2015 was?
Did we define what crypto, where that term came from, or are we doing that later?
We kind of glossed over that a little bit. I know cryptocurrency was more or less kind of like hinted at. I read an article about David Chaum, and he wrote like a conference paper, and he was just kind of outlining some like anonymous, like, crypto, like money, but he didn't do anything with it. And then I think it wasn't until like 12 years plus later, where there's some stuff that happened. And I think, Richard was touching up on that. And that's where we started off at. And then we went through a little bit about like what was happening. We went through, more or less kind of like when things started getting hyped up, when we're like in high school or, depending on how old you are. There's like the Bitcoin network, there's Satoshi Nakamoto, the Bitcoin white paper, how that started out, how that kind of popularized cryptocurrency. At least that's in my opinion, is that's when it kind of became popularized. And then we're talking about how it started getting more popular, and eventually leading into, I don't think we talked about some earlier things like Litecoin, but I know right around, I think it was like 8 years ago when they had like, I don't want to call them shit coins, but like altcoins, as opposed to like some of the other ones. And so I think that's where we were is around 2015 with the advent of Dogecoin.
We're just going to skip all the beginning cool stuff and, like 2008 to 2015.
No, we can do that too. We were just jumping around. We can go through it.
That's when we saw the first big spike that was crazy to everyone, and then a crash after that. We saw it go to like $27 back in 2011, and then dropped back down to less than $5.
That's a rough one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's kind of the thing we're seeing, in the world today. I mean, even if you go back and look at, if you were to compare Bitcoin to any other digital asset, or sorry, not digital asset, but any other asset in the world, I would say that it would be closest to gold. But if you were to look at gold's graph over the course of 100 years or a little bit longer, you would see similar patterns, just at a much slower pace. I mean, when you have a digital world and digital capabilities, you see these things happen at lightning speed and not at, a snail's pace like you would in an asset like gold.
Yeah, or even traditional stocks. Like, the thing that's kind of funny is that like crypto is just such an intense experience. They kind of say like, if you start doing crypto, then like either you don't do it for very long and you just can't like wrap your head around it, or you're hooked. And like, it's really funny to like listen to people who invest in like actual stocks, because they'll be like, oh yeah, this is like projected to go up 20% this year. And I'm like, 20% a year? Like, I've seen currencies do more in 10 seconds. Like, it just feels so slow to watch these other things. But it doesn't mean that the path that they take overall, like the way that the charts actually form and shape, are that different. But the timeline is definitely sped up.
Unless it's GME, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a whole situation.
Yeah. So starting around 2011, we see other people starting to form contenders to Bitcoin, or competition in the space a little bit, and that's where Litecoin happened in 2011. And then we saw some other ones pop up. Most of these everyone hasn't heard of, but way down in 2012, something called OpenCoin launched, and Ripple. And so Ripple is something that we still hear about. Litecoin we still hear about. And Litecoin's, doing some interesting things. We've seen them get delisted on some places as they add privacy to their chain and some other stuff. So lots of interesting stuff for sure.
Humble beginnings.
Mm-hmm. And then, we saw, like, I would say that anyone that's looked at the history of crypto at all has heard of Mt. Gox.
What is that, Richard?
Why don't you tell us what that is? I'm sure you guys have you guys all heard of Mt. Gox?
I actually haven't.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
So at the time, in 2014, it was the largest exchange. So it was the Binance of the world in the mid 2010s. Mm-hmm. And they had a bug that essentially, I saw like a whole hour-long documentary on the history of Mt. Gox, and they had so many issues. It was crazy. Like, they had thefts that they tried to cover up and all kinds of stuff, and they kind of lied about stuff, and then they had people like withdrawing that Bitcoin that they shouldn't have, and they had their keys compromised, and it was pretty interesting. And then it ended up getting shut down, and they had a lot of Bitcoin left over. So they declared bankruptcy, having lost 850,000 Bitcoin.
Oh, wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I think it was 460 million or something like that. Or more, right? At that time.
Well, sure. I mean, it was a lot of money, but now it would be an insane amount of money. Mm-hmm. I mean, absolutely astronomically insane. And but what's interesting is that I think that they ended up having enough to pay people out, like how much they had in there. I'd have to go back and look into it a little bit more to remember. It's been a few years since I looked into it, but yeah. And then we went into kind of like the golden age, the solidifying age of crypto, where before 2016 to 2018 age, it was just this kind of like secret club. And
very cringe.
Once we saw Bitcoin hit nearly $1,000, like right at 1,000-ish, in January 2017, it started to really kind of blow up. And then by the end of that year, it hit almost $20,000. And so we saw a 20x return in a single year on it. And that's pretty much when it hit mainstream and people started taking notice. And then, of course, right after that, we saw it hit it was horrible. We saw it go down to like 3,700 or something the next year. So that's I actually got into mining in 2017, and it was great. Had a little mining facility. Profits were absolutely crazy. And at one point in time, some of the miners that I had bought I think I was spending like $1,700 or $1,800 on an ASIC miner at the time, and people were buying them for $7,000 aftermarket.
Wow. Dang.
That's how profitable they were.
Wait, but Richard, I think you actually mentioned this to me once. What was your electricity bill every month?
Yeah, I had an electricity bill like between $5,000 and $7,000 a month.
Can you imagine? But even then, it was still extremely profitable, which is crazy to me.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it was. I mean, the bummer is, you got to cash out while it's profitable because that's the issue.
Yep.
But at the time, we hadn't really gone anywhere near that, right? Like we had hit this new crazy threshold that was unimaginable, and being in the world's eye and the supply being so small. I mean, even today, there's probably only like maybe 14 to 16 million. No, not even that.
Yeah.
It's got to be like 12 to 14 million Bitcoin in existence. And so I'm thinking like the whole world's supply of Bitcoin is going to run out before like LA County buys one. So anyway, those were kind of like the bigger things that happened in the crypto era. And then in 2018 to now, we've shifted into even a new paradigm where people are seeing this as the next .com. And, have we gone through the bubbles already, or are we just at the beginning? We're seeing money, pump into this ecosystem at up and over $3 trillion just for it to, flash in the pan, which it's done plenty of times. I mean, again, go back and look at the gold graph from the last 100 years, and you're going to see pretty similar scenarios. And so it's just interesting to see. And I feel like we are just very much at the beginning where these companies, I mean, look at Ethereum. There's scams all over. The governments don't know what they're doing. They're slow. They're making different decisions. Some countries are making it an official currency, and other countries are like, oh no, we're banning Bitcoin entirely, like China. They banned all crypto. But, still a large, I mean, that's the coolest thing about decentralization. And even though they have the great firewall of China, trying to keep people from doing these things, and the country is extremely aggressive when it comes to handling law and order in their country, and eavesdropping on the people, and having to have an ID to use the internet, and curtailing how long you can play games by down to like an hour a day or something crazy like that for kids.
Yeah, you wouldn't like that very much, would you, Richard?
No, I got to have like an hour and 5 minutes, man.
So you can play one League of Legends game.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when I'm carrying you.
Oh, dude, I can't be carried. I'm so bad. I'm like 0 and 12.
Yeah. That's like some of my crazy games with people just AFKing. Anyway, but yeah, it's interesting to see that there's still a large amount of crypto traffic and volume in a country that is so aggressive in trying to clamp down, and I mean, blackbagging people for doing things that the country doesn't like, or saying things the country doesn't want you to say. And
I think that's where crypto would be most beneficial, wouldn't you say? At least that's my opinion.
Sure. I mean, I think that if we're allowed to, as a people, compared to governments, we're essentially like in this battle of freedom where we want to do a thing, and we're constantly being regulated and told we can't do things, including our country, America, trying to make it to where they can spy on everyone's bank account, even if you have over $600 trying to make your report, or if you do like a garage sale, they want you to report your income and stuff. It's just so crazy that they are extreme misers while letting big companies that they have good rapport with, like Amazon, pay nothing in federal tax. And so, I mean, it's funny because we talk about like big corporate being this quote unquote, evil thing. Well, I mean, corporate does kind of employ a lot of people. But if you think about the biggest corporations in the world, they're the governments. And these corporations are doing pretty poorly. I mean, we see them spending $700 billion here and there, and it just being, crazy times for when you want to just kind of live your own life and do your own thing and keep what's yours and do your own stuff. But just the amount of oversight that they have, like, I mean, look what they did with Tornado.
Yeah. We're actually we're gonna go over a little bit of an article not too long from now, probably in our next podcast, talking about a return to that tornado cash thing where that guy he had his personal GitHub account blocked out, and then now I think USDC.
Yep.
There's some threats of it being depegged. A lot of people were scared about that. It went down. I believe that's correct. It was USDC, not USDT, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yep. After they blocked accounts from Tornado Cash that were linked to it. So that's it, very interesting.
Well, I guess before we wrap up this podcast, we're kind of coming to the end of that's kind of the history of just cryptocurrencies in general. But I figured we could dip into the histories of NFTs as well. See, what do you think?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, honestly, Carla and I were just talking about this right before, and we're looking up because we're thinking, maybe we can do talking a little bit about this, and we're springing this on Richard and Rachel. But Carla, could you tell us what the first NFT is?
All right, yeah. So the first NFT was called Quantum. It was created by this guy named Kevin McCoy, and certain sources on the internet say that it was of a video of his wife, but what actually exists, if you look it up, is kind of this like pulsating rainbow circle, kind of trippy. And he actually sold it for $4, first ever NFT. But fast forward to 2021. Oh yeah, do you have something to add?
Yeah, he sold it. He sold it to the guy he made it with.
Yeah.
And I think it's so funny that you said that. The video clip was of his wife.
Right.
I thought I was laughing about that. I was like, they definitely pasted this incorrectly, right?
Right.
They're just like ribbing on his wife.
I was like,
he's like, poor guy's wife.
You're like, they said it's his wife, but it's actually this like rainbow pulsating circle, and it's like, huh. He's
It's like it was made by his wife.
married like outside of his league, and by outside of his league, I mean like seraphim.
Different dimension.
Yep.
He's different dimension.
A biblically accurate angel or something.
Exactly.
So it's a cool little GIF. I would call it a GIF, honestly. But it sold in 2021 to this guy named Silly Tuna.
That's the guy, Silly Tuna.
On Twitter. So he sold a CryptoPunk NFT from his collection for $11.8 million. And he ended up buying this Quantum, the first ever NFT, for $1.4 million. So actually, I think close to
crazy.
7. But in the 6 years that McCoy owned Quantum, he raked in $1.4 million in fees, which is nuts.
Huh.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
That's super cool.
That's
Also,
enough to keep you going.
It piqued my curiosity. I was wondering, what's the most expensive NFT? And I know we're going to go into NFTs more in depth for another podcast, but I looked it up.
Yes.
And I don't know if you guys knew this, but can you guess how much the most expensive NFT sold for? Anyone want to take
There
a
was
guess?
one that sold recently for like $35 million. I can't imagine that that's the most expensive one.
I thought it was
Richard?
around 70.
Okay. Any other?
These are all ludicrous numbers. I'm gonna shoot above. I'm gonna say 115 million.
All right. So Richard was actually closest. It was $69.3 million.
Nice.
It was a Beeple. Every day is the first
Beeple?
5,000. Beeple?
Yeah, Beeple. He's a NFT artist.
Yeah.
That's I follow him on Instagram.
He's actually
very
sold
popular.
a significant amount of the most expensive NFTs ever. But yeah, so that's just kind of a quick link into the history of NFTs. So the first one ever was minted and sold in 2014. That's only 8 years ago.
Yeah.
About how far NFTs have come since then. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. The whole
Yeah.
space, truly. Technology, actually. Just in general. The thing that's really interesting is just it's technology's on an exponential curve, because the more
You're right
we
about that.
evolve the technology, the easier it is to move to the next step. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I met Beeple at VCon. He's very nice.
Oh, really?
nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. He has a good smile.
Nice.
He kind of reminds me of I don't know, maybe someone's uncle. I don't know if that's a good way to
I
describe
feel like
it.
that's kind of been on your mind today.
Yeah,
It's been
something
on my
about
mind.
uncles.
About uncles. Maybe I have some unresolved trauma I have to look at here.
Yeah. Go to therapy or something. Oh,
Yeah,
Mike
speaking of fun
Winkleman?
guys,
Winkleman?
what?
Fun guys?
Sorry, a Beeple is a guy, his name is Mike Winkleman. He does look like someone's uncle.
Yo, this is not Beeple slender.
I'm not saying that as a slanderish. He just looks like
Of course not.
someone photoshopped his face. Oh no. He created an NFT of a giant Shiba Inu looking like the Sphinx with a naked Elon Musk riding the Shiba Inu holding up a trophy that says NFE. It's,
Okay.
There's a lot of weird ones.
It's something.
There's a lot of very strange ones. There's one with Buzz Lightyear, and he has like a milking machine attached to him. Like,
Wow.
there's some ludicrous ones. Like if you look through Beeple's art, you'll see some pretty crazy stuff.
But we're not here to talk about people's art. I would like to talk about weird NFT art in another podcast, though. I think
definitely.
Yeah,
this fascinates me.
we have a resident NFT expert
We do.
on hand that we can talk to. We'll bring him in soon.
Great. Perfect.
Awesome.
Really quick, before we wrap up, I want you guys to see this picture because I had to see it, and now you must also look at it. You know, it's like the misery loves company type of a situation. Okay, there you guys go. There is Elon Musk riding a giant Shiba Inu.
Can you like?
That's
do
actually
you think that's
he looks
one
very
where you can,
empowered.
like, rotate it around, like
It looks
where you can see
VR.
from- Yeah, exactly.
That poor Doge. It looks so uncomfortable.
A great photo, honestly. He really captured the power and vigor of Elon Musk riding Dogecoin to victory here.
Yeah. Though it doesn't look like Dogecoin is riding anywhere. It looks like Dogecoin has just laid down complacently.
Well, that is a good metaphor.
Yes. All right. So yeah, I guess that wraps it up. With that, I will leave you guys. And this was a another great podcast. Thank you, C, my co-host, and thank you, Richard and Rachel. Until next
Thanks, guys.
time,
All right, thanks.
this is the
Pixel Chats. Splice that away.